Welcome back, friends, to another video. William Shakespeare was one of the greatest authors of all time. So I think it's important that we take a moment to hear what he had to say about business. Shakespeare was more than just an author. He was also a businessman. He was a part owner in a play company called the Lord Chamberlain's Men, later known as the King's Men. He spent his whole career with this group of actors, writing, acting, and promoting his plays. The group later built and operated the famous Globe Theatre in London. When you look at Shakespeare's plays, business is not really a theme of his plays, but he was a master of observation of the human character. There is one play called Julius Caesar, and he says something in the play I find very interesting. Now, in case you don't know the story of Julius Caesar, it is a historical tragedy. Julius Caesar is a member of the Senate in Rome who is growing in popularity. 3 senators, including Julius Caesar's friend Brutus, are afraid that Julius Caesar will use his popularity to create an insurrection at the Capitol and seize control of the Republic. The 3 senators decide that the right thing for them to do to preserve the Republic is to conspire to kill Caesar. Each conspirator stabs Julius Caesar on the Senate floor. Their actions start a civil war. In preparation for the battle, Brutus is talking to his co-conspirator Cassius. They are discussing whether to go to meet the opposing troops in battle or wait in their current location. Brutus is in favor of going into battle, and he says, "There is a tide in the affairs of men, which, taken at the flood, leads on to fortune. Omitted, all the voyage of their life is bound in shallows and in miseries. On such a full sea are we now afloat, and we must take the current when it serves, or lose our ventures." Shakespeare is talking about how to be successful in life. He is saying that there is a component to business that has a lot to do with trends. This is very different than a lot of the conventional wisdom you hear today. A lot of business gurus out there preach about grinding your way to success or capitalizing on your talents, but Shakespeare is saying something very different. He's saying that success comes from awareness. You need to be aware and observing your environment around you, be able to identify trends, and then take action to take advantage of those opportunities. Success does not come from an individual's actions alone, but from what is happening in the environment around them. And he points to other success stories as evidence that this is how life works. Some people take advantage of opportunities and get rich, and others let those opportunities pass them by and stay poor and miserable. Now, it must be pointed out that after Brutus says these lines, in the play, he falls into misfortune. Brutus and Cassius's forces are actually winning the conflict, but then Cassius makes a mistake. He thinks he's losing and kills himself. Without a leader, Cassius's forces are quickly overtaken. Brutus has no chance of winning and kills himself in a tragic ending. For a modern audience, a tragedy like this seems a little strange. Hollywood does not really make tragedies anymore, but the point of tragedies was to be entertained by watching someone else's misfortune while revealing some truth about the human condition. Shakespeare wrote an excellent and entertaining play with Julius Caesar and explored the idea of awareness in business. The character of Brutus throughout the play is trying to take advantage of the changing situations around him. Now, I think that Shakespeare is using this play to refer to his own good fortune. Shakespeare took advantage of opportunities early in his career, which turned into becoming the leading playhouse in London. Shakespeare's success in business is why we are still talking about him to this day. The reason I wanted to make this video is because business school does not teach you this concept of how important awareness is in business. It's the whole game. You could be grinding away at your job right now, working 16 hours a day, and completely miss the opportunity that could make you rich, just because you're not paying attention. There are trends happening all around you. Are you able to identify what trends are working? Are you able to identify what trends have potential for the future? You need to work on that trend and ride that trend all the way to the moon. Now, I make this sound very easy, but it is anything but. If it was easy, everybody would do it. But business does take on new meaning when you realize that what Shakespeare is talking about is valuable. A modern-day example of this is the company Facebook, which just this week rebranded itself as Meta. Mark Zuckerberg was just an ordinary college student. He identified a trend and rode that trend to become one of the most powerful companies in the world. Now think about this for a moment. Facebook is only about 17 years old. So Mark Zuckerberg went from a nobody to one of the most powerful people in the world in only 17 years. That's incredible. Now, given all the bad press that Facebook has received lately, Mark Zuckerberg's story could still end in tragedy. But you have to admit that it is a striking example of exactly what Shakespeare is talking about. In the business world, there are tides all around us, just like in the ocean. You can either work with those tides, or you can work against them. Now, we do not know very much about Shakespeare's personal wealth. It does appear that he became wealthy during periods when the Globe Theatre was successful, but he actually ran into some misfortune at the end of his career. There was a massive pandemic of the bubonic plague that swept across England from rats. Now, if you don't know what the bubonic plague was, it targeted people ages 10 to 35. You would get a fever, trouble breathing, pain, and a cloudy mind. Sores would break out on your groin, armpit, and neck. And when the sores burst, they would be so painful that some people would throw themselves out of windows to commit suicide to stop the pain. The government issued a massive lockdown, quarantining people in their homes and painting red crosses on their doors. Playhouses, including Shakespeare's Globe Theatre, were closed to the public for 60 months between the years of 1603 and 1610. These events probably impacted Shakespeare's finances. And this is another business lesson that we can learn from Shakespeare's life. This is something that I think a lot of business people didn't pay attention to until now. You can become rich. You can become successful. You can become one of the greatest writers of all time and still experience a global pandemic that wipes out all of your wealth. So Shakespeare, just like a character in one of his tragedies, fell into unfortunate times. Now I want to hear from you. Do you think that Shakespeare was right and that awareness is an important part of business? Go ahead and leave your comments in the comment section down below. Let me know what you think. Thank you so much for watching. I'm Zach from Wolves in Finance. Let's go out and make some money.